Hello and welcome to the 31 Days of Felissa Rose, my spin on the popular 31 Days of Halloween thing, where horror fans post a movie review every day for the month of October in celebration of all things Halloweeny. The idea was, let's dive a bit deeper into the filmography of a well-loved and respected horror icon to familiarise myself and hopefully everybody watching with the whole Felissa Rose oeuvre, to give you this history of Felissa Rose through a series of reviews, the 31 Days of Felissa Rose. But you know what? Sometimes you just come away with absolutely fuck nothing to say, and that's exactly the case with today's film, the hilariously titled 2018 seasonal gore comedy Ugly Sweater Party, which is a movie that's more trauma than a lot of trauma films. I can safely say that, up until this point, which incidentally marks Felissa Rose's 35th year anniversary in the business, this is the worst film that Felissa Rose has ever associated herself with. Worse than the nasty sleaziness of Within These Walls or Extremity, and even worse than the hideous shit show that was Slaughter Party. Pick any film that Felissa Rose has been in, single out any aspect of that film that you really hated, and chances are that Ugly Sweater Party does it worse. It's tacky, it's sleazy, ugly, grubby, chop-edited, lazy, smug, noisy, smirking garbage of the very worst kind that makes absolutely no attempt at a story, never once remotely invests the time in even setting up decent characters for us to empathise with, and instead consists of a series of incompetent goofball sequences of people fucking around, shoved up against each other side by side, glued together with the most horrifically ugly, rapid, juddering editing that makes this look like the kind of thing that Beavis and Butthead would make, and the level of humour isn't far off that either. What's it about? Well, I'm tempted not to even go into what it's about, just because I don't think it deserves that, because any plot recap will invariably make it all sound a lot better than that actually is. Basically though, it's about a haunted Christmas jumper that causes havoc at a Bible camp full of ludicrous fuckwits, but it's essentially just a jumbled mess that manages to be both jitteringly frenetic and hyperactive, and completely and utterly lethargic, in that it just drags on and on. Sometimes I find myself watching a film where I genuinely don't have the slightest fucking clue what's going to come next, and done right, that can be a really great thing to pull off. But this is a film where anything can happen, because there's no boundaries to the world that we're in, because it's also ill-defined, and the random hodgepodge scenes of actors fucking around reciting terrible jokes never once looks like it's going to suddenly transform into being a proper film. It's a hard one to explain, but this isn't even a film, it's just nothing. It's just a lifeless collection of extremely bad taste shot gags and crude, ugly dialogue that looks like the whole film has been strained through week-old unwashed underpants, let alone a fucking Christmas jumper. Honestly, right, there are bad films that are just bad, and then there's stuff that leaves you feeling angry that you've had your time wasted. I admit it, maybe I should have been warned off by the title, but I'm always willing to give things a go, and sometimes films with silly titles actually end up being quite fun, because you never know what kind of comedy a horror comedy is going to be. In the case of Ugly Sweater Party, it's just the crudest, most amateurish, disgusting stuff possible. I mean, I don't get disgusted by bad taste comedy, but I'm offended that the people making this film think that half this shit is actually meant to pass for comedy, because it's fucking insulting to my intelligence, quite frankly. I think it's possible that Ugly Sweater Party might also have, perhaps, some of the worst lines of dialogue ever spoken.
This is where true blue deals with brown shit in a grey world. Now you dig that fucking yeast out of your twat and watch!
If you can legitimately quote me a worse line of dialogue than that, then please share it with me, because I want to know that you have suffered worse than I have. Maybe the weirdest thing about Ugly Sweater Party, the thing that really makes it extra frustrating, is the fact that it's got a few familiar faces in it. I'm not going to name them all, but there's a load of people that you'll know from having been in other Felissa Rose films, but as with Lilith, the main three characters and a few others are once again the central cast of the film To Jennifer, specifically Hunter Johnson, Lara Jean, and Charles Chudabala. What annoys me is, I actually liked To Jennifer in hindsight, and I definitely think that Hunter Johnson and Lara Jean were really good in that film, so it's kind of shit to see them stuck here mugging away doing desperately lame shtick and basically embarrassing themselves. This isn't one of those films where I get the feeling that they enjoyed the chance to muck about. They both really look like they can't be fucked with this, and I don't blame them. I'm not saying this is bad acting, I'm just saying, genuinely, the direction is so bad that I get the feeling that I'm just watching bad actors awkwardly standing around saying lines that they don't believe in. As for Felissa Rose, well, she's enough of a pro that she never seems visibly fed up, and gets a chance to play a kind of horny cougar, with comedy glasses and this kind of exaggerated lusty drawl. I'd say it's a Felissa factor of about 3 out of 10, because it's a small part that is only even halfway decent because it's the one ray of sunlight in an otherwise uniformly ugly, cretinous, cynical waste of time. I mean, this is a film that features, quite near the end, a lengthy comedic laser gun massacre scene where all the deaths are played for laughs, all the splatter is CG, and the whole scene plays out intricat with one of many heavy metal acts that appear in the film for the most cynical of reasons. It basically manages to tick every single box of what I don't want from a horror film in just a single scene. CGI gore, tick. Comedy splatter, tick. Heavy metal, tick. I mean, there's a danger that slagging off a film too vitriolically like this will mean that in some perverse way you might be intrigued to see what all the fuss is about, and all I can say is that there is no godly way that you should ever have to sit through Ugly Sweater Party when there's millions of better films out there that you will never get a chance to see. Life is just too fucking short, unlike this film. I don't enjoy slagging films off, really I don't, because I appreciate the time and effort involved and the passion of creatives working to fulfill their dreams. But this is just a fucking waste of time and effort and resources, and it should have been smothered at birth. A nice, big, rosy 1 out of 10. I was going to say 0 out of 10 for Ugly Sweater Party, but I probably laughed once in it at something feeble as fuck. I think, as well, Felissa Rose is actually kind of fun in it, but I am really stretching to justify that rating, believe me. It is terrible. That's going to wrap things up here, though. I am sorry that it's been such a downer, especially after yesterday, but hopefully I have taken a bullet for you, and in the unlikely event that you ever actually were thinking about watching Ugly Sweater Party, please just do not. If I can save one person from watching Ugly Sweater Party, then this will have been worth my watching it. I hope that you have enjoyed what I've had to say, more so than I've enjoyed the film itself, and I will be back tomorrow with day number 17 of the 31 Days of Felissa Rose, with what I can confidently say, just based on the sheer statistical odds of ever finding a film worse than this, will be a definite improvement. And I hope that we'll see you there for that.